Could you give another example of William Branham copying conflicting doctrines out of his library books?
So I tried to think about a good example to show for this question, and I tried to think what is probably William Branham's most infamous conflicting statement. And I think his most infamous conflicting statement in the message is whether or not there are 7 years or 3.5 years left in the week of Daniel. That is probably, I would say, a very highly disputed dual statement or conflicting statement of William Branham. And so what I did, I just went to his library books, and I'll just show you where these things come from. This is the book, The Prophecies of Daniel and Revelation by Uriah Smith. So this is Seventh-day Adventist. This is the Millerite version of things, okay? And in this book, for example, which William Branham, we know he had in his library, he talked about reading it. In this book, if you will go to the sections where it talks about these things, I'll get you some clear pictures. You'll find that they have 3.5 years to their week of Daniel left. So that is the Millerite side of things, or the views coming out of William Miller. Here is the book of Daniel by Clarence Larkin. And so these teachings are flowing out of John Nelson Darby's views. So this is the Darby views of dispensationalism. And so we also know William Branham had this book. He had even said that he read this book on tape when he preached his sermon on when he preached Daniel's 70th week. He said this was the book he studied, actually, in the sermon, right? And if you open up this book, for example, and you look at it, you'll find that this book goes with the 7 years left version of things, right? So you've got the Darby version evolved out of Darbyism. You've got the 7 years. You've got the 3.5 years coming out of the William Miller and the Millerites. And William Branham is looking at both. And so what you have is when he preached the version in 1961, I believe, he preached the week of Daniel in 61, he was primarily copying from Clarence Larkin's book of Daniel. But then later on, I don't know if he forgot that he copied out of that book or what, or maybe he got looking at Uriah Smith's book and started liking the pictures in it. There's a lot nicer pictures in this book. Maybe he liked the pictures better. I have no idea, right? But for some reason, he then switches over to this book, and he's using the symbolism out of this book again. And if you just open these books and look through them, you will find that there is so much that he told us that he got from God that he literally just read out of these books. It's incredible, but that's an example of him preaching two contradictory things that caused all kinds of problems in the message, and it just depends on the book I guess he picked up in his library that day when he went to study the subject before he preached on it, and he just mixed up which book that he used. And it's pretty bizarre, and it's really unfortunate and very sad. But if you want to double-check William Branham's sources to figure out which is right for yourself, well, hey, I just told you the two books to go look at, and you go figure out which book you think is the right one.